Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex, and my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo, taking a look at three standout players from yesterday's upset win over the Las Vegas Raiders. And first and foremost, Xavier freaking McKinney. What a performance from second-year player. He's kind of essentially a rookie at this point, right? He missed half of his rookie season. Didn't really get that full half the year. He was kind of in and out, just kind of developing and getting those early reps in, trying to get his feet wet in the situation. I think that mostly he was just trying to get, accustomed to the scheme. And now this season's really been able to play a bigger part as the free safety and kind of moving around the box a little bit, doing some different things. But Patrick Graham has simplified this defense the last couple of weeks. They've held their opponents to 20 or fewer points in the last 3 games. They could be on a 3-game winning streak right now if they would have beaten Kansas City, which they were one play away from doing so. But Xavier McKinney in this last game against the Raiders, and I think in all of our opinion, including Anthony, it was his breakout performance. The guy was an absolute stud, a pick 6, an interception, 2 pass breakups, 7 total tackles. He was all over the field making plays, and he even said on the second interception, he told James Bradberry, if they do that again, I'm going to intercept this pass. Logan Ryan really put some pressure on Derek Carr, forced him to make a premature throw, and Xavier McKinney ran over and made the interception, really gave the Giants a really good opportunity to win this game. He also was the highest graded player via PFF of any player in the NFL this week, which is absolutely awesome. So, Anthony, when you're looking at Xavier McKinney, how excited are you to see this type of performance from a free safety, second-round pick, a guy who fractured his foot last training camp, and now he's looking like a real steal?
I'm thrilled. Alex, you know this. Most of the long-term listeners of this podcast, viewers of this YouTube channel know I've always been a huge fan of Xavier McKinney before he even played a down for the Giants. After he was drafted by the Giants, I went ahead and did a film breakdown on this YouTube channel about why Xavier McKinney will one day be a star for the Giants. And it seems like I was right, and that's finally being realized. It seems like he's finally breaking out and becoming the superstar that I knew he was capable of becoming. So I'm really excited by this. I did that film breakdown. It has like 15,000 views at this point. It was a great video. I really dove into how he's so good in coverage, how he can play man-to-man, go up against slot receivers. He's an incredible talent, and I'm happy that the Giants are finally using him in the way that plays to his strengths, allows him to play to these talents. Let him be this boxy safety, but also be this rangy safety, right? Get down in the box, support and run defense, but also go over the top and start playing these quarter halves, these deep zones, and start playing these zone coverages and getting to the sideline. He's got great speed to get from the middle of the field to the sideline and make interceptions like he did yesterday. And that play where he took it home, the pick 6, man, that was an incredible play because he read that. He just jumped that route and took it all the way back. That was an awesome instinctual play. And that's exactly what you're getting with Xavier McKinney. You're always getting an instinctual, talented player. And I'm thrilled to see him finally realizing his potential. I think that he's going to be a building block for the Giants for a very long time, a bookend on the back end of that secondary, on the back end of this Giants defense. He's going to be there, being a very elite, talented player for a very long time. I'm super excited by his breakout performance on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a totally different player, right? He has 4 interceptions on the year, 2 of which he has two interception games. And there's been a couple more where he's dropped a few. He could have even more this season. Reminds me of Stevie Brown all those years ago. And he had like 7 interceptions that one season. Everyone was like, where the hell did that come from? And Xavier McKinney now establishing himself as this primary free safety moving forward. I mean, this is a really good time to see it, right? We needed some positives going into the future. We needed a couple of, just good silver linings, and Xavier McKinney has established himself as one of them. And moving forward, this bye week is really good to get the team healthier, and hopefully the offense can start to match the defense's progression and their production, really, because for the most part, I mean, the offense hasn't been good by any means. They won time of possession and the turnover battle against the Raiders. But if they can just get healthier with Saquon, Andrew Thomas, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, if they can just get to 75% health, they're going to be so much better. And this team can actually beat some squads. And as I said in the last instant reaction over in the win yesterday, this team is a couple of plays away from being a whole different team. The narrative would be entirely different if Dexter Lawrence didn't jump offside, or O'Shane Ximines doesn't jump offside for that Patrick Mahomes interception that Darnay Holmes had last week. There's a couple of plays in the Falcons. We were at the Falcons game. There's a couple of games here where the Giants come out with the better hand in this, and we're looking at a 6-3 team instead of a 3-6 team. And, we're in the wild card conversation. But right now, we're still lacking discipline. Jason Garrett still doesn't know how to do anything. I will say offensive line play certainly holds back his scheme tremendously. If you watch the game, the offensive line was very, very poor. They were, especially in pass blocking. However, I will say the run blocking looked great. The Raiders are not a good run defense team, and they took advantage of that. But they have a very, very good pass rushing forward, Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, who really took advantage of Matt Pert and Nate Solder. But the second guy who really stood out to me in this game as one of the standout players, Devonte Booker, man. What a performance from Devonte Booker. He helped the Giants win time of possession. I believe they had 30 minutes and 11 seconds of possession, more than the Raiders. That was a huge part in winning this game. He had 21 carries for 99 yards on the ground. I think he also had 3 receptions for 26 yards or so, also making his name as a receiver as well. So he's done a lot of different things here. He got the game ball after the game. He put his body on the line, man. He made second efforts. He was grinding out yards. He was pushing for first downs. I give all the credit in the world to Devonte Booker, who, including myself, was very harsh about the signing when it first happened. Just because, why are you spending 2 years, $6 million on a running back when we have Saquon Barkley? And I guess they nailed it on the head. They knew Saquon would get injured. I guess they kind of anticipated it too. They were like, Saquon Barkley's not primarily, he's not injury prone. He gets injured every year. We should have an insurance policy. They went out and they got a pretty damn good one. So credit to them, the front office, for seeing that maybe Barkley would go down at some point. They would need to supplement him, and Booker has looked phenomenal the last 2 games. And a really, really big game against the Raiders here without him. This is a totally different conversation we're having right now. And I will say, I think he fits Jason Garrett's mold a lot more than Saquon Barkley. He's more of a power runner. He grinds out those extra yards. He's a tough son of a gun. He doesn't get injured very often. Like, he's a pretty reliable running back. And I think that really stood out to me, Anthony. When you're looking at Devonte Booker, how much has he surprised you, I guess? Because a lot of people were very angry about him being signed in the first place. And I would say he surprised me a ton.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was necessarily angered by the player that was signed, but the contract he was signed to, right? So that was pretty much the main gripe with it. And I think the main argument was, why are you signing a running back to starter money when you have Saquon Barkley? Well, the Giants haven't had Saquon Barkley, so it's a good thing that they did go out and pay Devonte Booker, apparently, right? Looking back on it, probably a good thing, because he is a quality starting level talent. He's going out there, he's playing like a starter. He had 99 yards on 21 carries. Any running back that can take 21 carries and average 4.7 yards per carry, that's a good running back, right? Because that's a high volume of carries. That's a whole lot to be doing in one game, plus getting out there in the receiving game. Plus, he's a pretty good pass protector from everything that I've seen whenever I watch film on the Giants' offensive line and pass protection. He does really well in all facets of the game. So a very good all-around running back that the Giants signed. Sure, maybe they paid a little much for him, but oh well. Now he's out here and he's helping us win games. He's filling in for Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is very injury prone at this point in his career. We're all very aware of that. But now we do have Devonte Booker to go in there and supplement the loss of Saquon Barkley from our lineup and play some really good football. He's been running really well. And I got to give credit where credit is due. Jason Garrett did call a pretty good running game yesterday. And also the offensive line did block pretty well for Devonte Booker. I saw Matt Parrott, as bad as he was in pass protection. We're probably going to get into that later this week. He did look really good in run blocking on some plays. He was sealing some defenders off, and he was opening up some lanes for Devonte Booker, who just all around had a great game. He was always falling forward, gaining extra yard after contact. Really good game from Devonte Booker. I'm very impressed with what I've seen from him really all throughout this season, but this was just that staple performance for Devonte Booker on the New York Giants.
Absolutely, and they needed him big time against the Raiders. And the last player that we really want to discuss for a moment here is Quincy Roche. And I mean, head and shoulders, Quincy Roche and Azeez Ojulari will be the starting outside linebackers moving forward. Even when Lorenzo Carter returns from his ankle injury, of course, coming off an Achilles issue, definitely tough to come back from. And Oshane Ximines has been pretty much non-existent, in fact, probably a net negative this season. But Quincy Roche, a 6th-round pick from Pittsburgh, they tried to sneak him onto the practice squad. The Giants said, no, we're going to go snag you. So they went and they got an outside linebacker. They went and got a draft pick for nothing. Right? They try to sneak him onto the practice squad, and they end up stealing him away from the Steelers, which has obviously ended up being a great move because he had the game-winning play at the end of this contest against the Raiders in a strip sack and fumble against Derek Carr. So Quincy Roche and Azeez Ojulari, those 2 guys, rookies, making the biggest impact out of any of these outside linebackers up to this point in the season. I think that those 2 should be the starters. They should be getting the most reps. They should be getting the most action because ultimately, more reps, more action will hopefully allow them to develop even further, and we'll get to see better product down the line. Anthony, now when you're looking at Quincy Roche, I mean, he didn't have the most eye-opening, just ridiculously great game, but he gets the 3rd standout player because of that one play he made at the end. And good players show up in big moments no matter what they do the rest of the game. And I think that's a big point. And if you can become a player like that where you show up when it matters most, you're going to become a very valuable piece to this team, Anthony. So when looking at Roche, how excited are you to see a player like that, on like a guy that we got off a practice squad, a rookie, end up making such a big impact?
I'm really excited. I think this was a total steal for the Giants. They went out there, they got him. He went undrafted. Most people thought he was going to go in like the third, fourth round, thought he would go pretty early in this year's draft. He just didn't. He just never got drafted, went all the way undrafted, signed with the Steelers, waived by the Steelers. Giants are like, hey, that's a player that we thought was a little bit talented before the draft. Let's go ahead and pick him up, see what he has in the tank. And he comes out here and he's been playing some pretty good football for the Giants, in all honesty. I mean, considering the expectations of an undrafted rookie that you claim off of the waiver wire, he's been playing really well, exceeding all expectations, and getting a sack fumble in the clutch like that, that alone, that singular play alone exceeds all expectations that you would have for an undrafted rookie edge rusher. So that right there just tells you the Giants definitely found someone who can contribute. Not saying they found some long-term starter, somebody who's going to turn into an elite talent on the edge, but they definitely found somebody who can contribute when need be and show up in big moments if he has to. And that's really great considering what they gave up for him, which is a 1-year contract after picking him up on the waivers. They gave up nothing for him. This is just like a free player that the Giants received this year, and it was kind of like a free blessing. This is a blessing to have a player like this that can go in there and contribute and really just cost you about nothing to acquire. So really excited by Quincy Roche. I was excited when we picked him up. I thought this is going to be awesome. This is a player that I think had a lot of talent. Now it's time for him to come to a good environment and realize that talent. And it seems like he is starting to realize that. Maybe he just needed some time to put it together. And it looks like he's finally putting it together. Had some really good pass rushing snaps that all culminated in that game-winning strip sack. Awesome performance from Quincy Roche. I'm very excited to see what he does for the rest of the season.
Yeah, me too. And, comparing his stats to Ocean Ximenez has 2 hits, 5 hurries, and really not much else than that. He has no sacks. And if you look at Roche over here, and that was, by the way, I believe, in 96 pressures or pressure cover or pressure snaps, pass rushing snaps. And when you're looking at Roche, he has 89 pass rushing snaps, and he has a sack, 1 hit, 4 hurries. So kind of similar numbers, but the sack and the fumble being the big outlier there in fewer snaps. So, and also he's a rookie compared to a third-year player. So, I mean, you got to imagine that he'll develop as time goes on as well, or at least that's the hope. And then Lorenzo Carter, obviously the injury, and Azeez Ojulari has been phenomenal. I mean, he's probably in line to potentially win that Defensive Rookie of the Year award. So if he keeps producing, keeps playing well, we might see him in that conversation. That would be a really, really big step for this team, finding some good players down. And Patrick Graham, shout out to him for realizing that something was going wrong and simplifying his defense, playing more of that bend, don't break style and strategy. It's worked to perfection. The coverage has looked phenomenal lately. That entire group, the corners and Adoree Jackson and James Bradbury have really stepped things up. James Bradbury kind of got beat up a little bit over Darren Waller, and then I think he got lost on the Hunter Renfrow touchdown as well. But altogether, I was pretty happy with Adoree Jackson. He looked good. Logan Ryan looked great. He was all over the place. He made that big impact on the fumble. He came flying in there and disrupted the Raiders from recovering that. And then, of course, Xavier Mckinney, man, having the game of his life. So really, really excited to see what this defense can continue to accomplish the rest of the year. Get these guys healthy, give them a nice rest, and hopefully we can bounce back and win some games and really maybe even put ourselves in contention for a wild card spot. It's very unlikely, but I'll say this, we have a long season ahead still, and I don't want to give up hope just yet. But I will say Dallas getting destroyed by the Denver Broncos yesterday, scoring 7 points, 30-7 or something, is a pretty clear indication to me that the Cowboys are not as good as everyone thinks they are. And maybe they had an off game, but hell, when you're losing like that bad to a Broncos team that was getting destroyed and they just traded away Von Miller, I'll tell you what, Cowboys have a vulnerability. They definitely have some stuff they got to iron out too. So hopefully the Giants can take advantage, win some of these divisional games moving forward. We haven't even played the Eagles yet. We still got a game against the Cowboys and a game against the Washington football team remaining. So if we can win those games, we might be in a better spot than we believe. So let's keep the positivity going. We're coming off a win. We've won 2 of our last 3 games. We should have beat KC. Let's stay positive, man. I know a lot of people are negative right now and still taking shots at the team and whatnot, but we have a long season ahead, a lot of football left, And hopefully they can turn this thing around and show us that they're actually capable of being a great team, especially when they come back healthy after the bye. And we get Andrew Thomas back, which is going to be freaking huge. He basically is their entire offensive line, which has become pretty apparent. And screw Nate Solder, get him off the team, or at least have him on the bench serving water to people, and have Matt Pert at right tackle. I cannot bear to see Nate Solder any longer. But make sure to have a fantastic day, my friends. Make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants video.
TVSO.